So many MAGA and Republicans are now waking up and realizing that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are absolutely terrible for the country and the world. That's the subject of today's video. And check out these headlines, guys. Doe's job cuts bring pain to Trump heartland. And basically, what we're talking about is hey, when you realize that Elon Musk wants you fired, chances are you don't like Elon Musk. And guys, this is Musk's plan. I want to make sure it's really clear. Musk wants to get as much of your tax dollars as possible. He wants his companies to be subsidized. And Musk hates regulations. He wants to blow up rockets over your head, crash cars, run his robot scams, whatever. And again, he wants to remove regulators, right? Fire people, because he doesn't want anyone to check his power. So you can see this kind of stuff here. Elon Musk Starlink has a growing footprint in the federal government. And it was just recently, it was a couple days ago now already, Elon Musk SpaceX Starship explodes and grounds flights at Florida airports. So basically, he's disrupting your life. That's Elon Musk. He wants to fire you, delay your flights, these kind of things. You also got this, Elon Musk and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day for SpaceX, Doge, and Musk himself. Basically, people don't like Elon. And again, it's not hard to figure out when Elon fires you that, hey, this guy does not have your back. People are already fighting back physically, actually, at his Tesla company, be it burning his supercharger things or attacking his dealerships. This is actually in Oregon. I grew up in Oregon, so I actually know these cities. This is Salem, which is pretty insane. Molotovs happened in Colorado as well. This is also in Tigard, Oregon. And when I read this, like, what the heck is this? Again, I grew up in Oregon, so I know exactly what this stuff is. People are, again, attacking the dealerships. And you have this one out as well. This is in the Midwest. I think this was West Virginia. And this is a MAGA voter who's now rejecting Trump and Musk. So have a listen to the story. It's very interesting. It says, Jennifer Piggott proudly hung a red and blue Trump campaign flag outside her one-story home during the November election race. So this is a MAGA person, right? Now, after she was abruptly fired from her civil service job, her days supporting the president are over, right? It's all fun and games when Trump and Musk are promising you you're all going to be rich, everything's going to be awesome, and then they fire you. And I've been warning you guys this for a long time, that Trump and Musk hate workers. They do not care about you. And this was what was going to happen. And, people realize it after they lose their job. Piggott is among more than 125 people dismissed in February from the Treasury Department Bureau of Fiscal Service in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Unsettling community that voted overwhelmingly for Republican President Donald Trump. And I think it was something like West Virginia or this county was like 70% for Trump. So it's very much MAGA territory. This is a quote from her. It says, nobody that I've talked to understood the devastation that having this administration office would do to our lives. Wow. So basically they voted for Trump, but they didn't realize that Trump would destroy you, right? No one that I've talked to understood the devastation that having this administration in office would do to our lives. And she's 47. Saying she would not have supported Trump if she knew then what she knows now, right? Quote, as much as I think that President Trump is doing wonderful things for the country, in some regards, I don't understand this at all. And I have to go over this stuff because this actually represents a typical voter / MAGA person in USA. They're like, oh, Trump made me all these great promises and now he fired me. Obviously you're not going to like that. And this is something that, when it hits home, hits your pocketbook, you realize, wow, this is really terrible. Piggott worked at BFS. So that's was it Bureau of Financial, we were just talking about Bureau of Fiscal Service, Bureau of Fiscal Service. Piggott worked at the BFS for 5 years and had recently been promoted. That promotion made her a target as the Trump administration began firing thousands of probationary federal workers, a group that includes new hires, but also existing workers moving from one internal position to another. And just imagine how the sort of roller coaster that her life has been. She's all excited, she voted for Trump, Trump won, you even got a new job promotion, and then it turns out because you got that promotion, you get targeted by Musk and his Doge cuts. This is what's going on. Also says here the renunciation of allegiance to Trump by Pickett, a church-going conservative and three-time Trump voter, so she really likes Trump, comes as political analysts are parsing early signs of possible backlash in Republican strongholds where government slashing efforts of the president and his cost-cutting czar, Elon Musk, are beginning to be felt. I think this is not going to be an isolated case, and there's going to be a lot of cases like this to where MAGA people wake up and realize, oh my God, these Trump and Musk people are awful. This is a map of where various, jobs are around the country. So this would be federal government jobs, and they have this done by district. But yes, there's a bunch in DC. I get that because sometimes the Musk and Trump say, they want you to hate everyone in DC, like they're all awful. That's what they want to tell you. Oh yeah, I hate those Social Security people that are there to help you. Hate anyone in the VA. Hate anyone who's out to regulate and protect you. That's what they want you to think. But I just want to point this out is like, oftentimes these people that supposedly you're supposed to hate, they're your neighbors, they're your fellow Americans. And I'll be further frank, guys, Musk and Trump are awful. And I make these videos because I want you to see who they really are. This is something that is interesting. This is Musk promising his Mars stuff. And I want you to understand that Musk has been making these bold promises for years. So have a watch at this.
So it is a bit tricky because we have to figure out how to improve the cost of trips to Mars by 5 million%. So this is not easy. And I mean, it sounds like virtually impossible, but I think there are ways to do it. This translates to an improvement of approximately 4.5 orders of magnitude.
Okay, so why are we talking about Mars? Why am I showing this footage? This is back in 2016 of Musk. Because you have to understand who these people are. Musk is the type of person that makes these bold promises, right? He's making these bold promises that we're all going to be awesome. We're going to get to Mars. We're going to improve our efficiency of the cost of going to Mars by 5 million%, right? This is the kind of person he is. It's a scam. It's a con, right? And his sort of culture, his business demeanor, his business practices, the way he treats people, the way he talks, has carried on into today. And it's crazy that this con has gone on so long. And now he's after your job and unfortunately after your tax dollar to be subsidized. On top of that, this is the kind of stuff that he's promised in the past. And because you have to understand this, if someone has a history of making a bunch of, bold and false claims, doesn't keep his promises, what do you call that person, right? If they have a long history of doing this kind of stuff. So the stuff that's happening with Musk and in the government and this Doge stuff isn't surprising because I've seen this stuff before. But for some people, they haven't actually, known much about Musk other than he's rich. And so that's why I have to show you these things. So just think about this. So here's more on his Mars stuff. And just think about how he talks and how much he understands regular people. This is on the cost of going to Mars. Have a listen.
So you can't create a self-sustaining civilization if the ticket price is $10 billion a person. What we need is to move those circles together. And if we can get the cost of moving to Mars to be roughly equivalent to a median house price in the US, which is around $200,000, then I think the probability of establishing a self-sustaining civilization is very high. I think it would almost certainly occur. Not everyone would want to go. In fact, I think a relatively small number of people from Earth would want to go, but enough would want to go and who could afford the trip that it would happen. And people can get sponsorship, and I think it gets to the point where almost anyone, if they saved up and this was their goal, they could ultimately save up enough money to buy a ticket and move to Mars. And Mars would have a labor shortage for a long time, so jobs would not be in short supply.
Right. So Musk is saying, guys, there's going to be tons and tons of jobs on Mars. And if you want to save up money, you can go to Mars. Like this is his chart here. He's got, okay, there's people who want to go, people who can afford to go, and we got to get that, intersection. And he's saying, if we can get the price of going to Mars to be the median cost of a house in the United States, then all these people want to go. It's frankly ridiculous in my opinion. But that's what Musk is selling people. And I'm pointing this stuff out because you have to understand the guy who is out to fire you and supposedly, save everyone from waste and fraud is like the biggest waste and fraud on the planet. That's what's so crazy about this thing. Let's read some more about what Republicans are saying. And again, you just have to see who Musk is. Actually, we'll start with this. This is a comment from our community who was talking about Musk. This is from Suzanne. Suzanne says, "Love it. Although I never paid acute attention to Elon's businesses, I was always pretty sus, right? I wanted the EV auto industry to mature out before considering. I was interested in solar, but kind of similar. Um, Cost versus benefit and a lot of questionable reviews. Anything with too much hype isn't a solid investment." So this is like her thoughts on Musk, especially if it's too dependent on government subsidizing. Now that he's completely forced us to look at his whole scammy practices, it's pretty easy to leap to the conclusion that he's more fraud than value. Also, his entire empire could dissolve and there's nothing we would miss. It could be sold off for parts. Unlike actual functioning government, something we need and need it to be a-hole free. Again, this is a comment from our community. I do read through all of your comments, and I always enjoy hearing what you guys have to say. And this is actually a really good example of what a lot of people are feeling. Is like, I didn't really pay attention to Musk that much. I thought about buying one of his products, etc. But now that I really dig deep into it, you realize, my God, this person's a fraud. You can find many videos where we talk about fraudulent stuff that Musk does. You can find on my channel. But this is going to be hitting a lot of people because you'll see a disconnect between what the Trump and the Musk people are saying and what is really happening on the ground. So, for example, this is from one of the Trump people, a quote: "The personal financial situation of every American is top mind for the president, which is why he's working to cut regulations, reshore jobs, lower taxes, and make government more efficient," right? And then here it says the Musk-led Department of Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, did not respond to requests for comment. Now, remember, you have to understand why they're always talking about cutting regulations and all this kind of nonsense. Basically, again, Musk wants to go to Mars. He wants to take your tax dollars to subsidize that kind of thing. He wants to make all these bold promises. He wants your tax dollars to subsidize his Tesla, his AI, whatever stupid stuff that he wants to do. And then he wants to cut regulations because he doesn't want anyone to go after him or sue him when he injures people, when he hurts people, when he kills people. This is what we're talking about. And his products really do hurt people. They're talking about products that consumers use, like a car can do a lot of damage, as you guys know, let alone the rockets that are exploding. That's 2 in a row now that have exploded. And the one that just exploded a couple days ago, they were still cleaning up the debris from the one in January. So now they got yet more debris to clean up. It's absolutely insane, this whole thing. But this is sort of why we're going through this. You understand that people do wake up to this stuff. For example, it says here, a handful of Republican voters who lost their federal jobs joined Democrats for a rally of more than 100 people protesting the cuts near the 2 BFS office buildings in Parkersburg last week. So again, this is West Virginia. Cheering on a local union leader as he criticized Trump and Musk while standing next to a large, quote, fat cat balloon. And it's, interesting. Again, when the job cuts come to you, you realize, oh my God, these people are insane, meaning Musk and Trump are insane. Also, it says support for Trump's shrinking government can, however, be heard in places around Parkersburg, right? So some people still believe in Trump. A middle-aged couple singing Doge praises over breakfast at a local diner. A hotel patron saying remote workers deserve to be fired. A young bartender lamenting federal workers' relatively high pay, right? So some people do believe in Trump and Musk lies, but you got to listen to the details of this. This is where it gets interesting. In interviews with 3 dozen workers, businesses, owners, and politicians in Parkersburg, which sits in the convergence of 2 rivers, including the mighty Ohio, nearly all said Trump's focus on cutting government spending was a worthy goal, but said they knew BFS employees to be hardworking and didn't see them as the right target if the aim was to eliminate waste. Do you guys see the disconnect here? So Trump and Musk want to convince you that, all these people in the government are so awful and so terrible, right? That's what they try to tell you. They want you to hate your neighbors. They want you to hate your fellow Americans. But then when you see the job cuts come to your community, as you can see in this, for example, this is in West Virginia, they're like, well, yeah, I believe all the stuff that Trump must say, but the people that just fired, they're not lazy. They're hardworking. They're good, decent people. Like, do you guys see the disconnect? And this is sort of how the Musk and Trump game is how it's played. They want you to hate your fellow neighbors and Americans. But what I'm trying to get you to do is to see the lies of Trump and Musk. Once you start to see it, you're like, oh my God, we've been played. And unfortunately, there are some people that are easily scammed. That it's just part of the reality. But not everyone, right? You can't fool everyone all of the time, right? You can fool some of the people some of the time, but not all the time. Check out this. This is more. It's interesting because it gets personal. Scott Heckert, a Republican who represents parts of Parkinsburg in West Virginia state legislature, said he was worried that layoffs at BFS, which employs about 2,200 workers in Parkinsburg, would, quote, devastate the local economy because the workers earned higher than average salaries and because of the looming prospect of another round of cuts, right? So this is a major employer for people there. It goes on to say, he said his daughter-in-law, right, was among those fired and that he was seeking more information on why so many jobs were eliminated in a seemingly indiscriminate manner before he would commit to backing Trump in the future. So this is a Republican representative, like his own daughter-in-law, so was fired. So his son's wife, and it's like, again, when this stuff hits close to home, you start to feel it, and you start to question, what you believe in. Here's a quote here. People voted for Donald Trump to make change. It's an unfortunate thing in our community that this is plagued with many things. It is. Goes on to say, and this is actually quite interesting. Again, this is from regular Americans. Business owners in Parkersburg said they were worried that more job losses, so again, the Musk cuts, would ripple through the economy in the form of depressing spending on everything from clothing to rent. The owners of the Blenner Hassett Hotel, a fixture of downtown Parkersburg for more than 130 years with turreted brick facade, have already told staff that seasonal hiring will be kept to a minimum for the usual busy summer months, right? So it's already hurting the economy. They're telling some of their part-time workers no work, right? This is what happens. It ripples through. Quote, it's a major economic disaster for our community. And that's coming from Wayne Waldeck. It says here, likening the potential scale of the expected job cuts to another factory leaving town. The article talked about how multiple factories have left. I think the town has lost a third of their population. It happens, right? The jobs aren't there anymore. And so a lot of these communities, and I get their point of view. They vote for, quote, change, but just change isn't necessarily always a good thing. I mean, I understand if you think, well, if things aren't working now, then got to go for something else. But the problem is that the Trump and Musk just made a bunch of promises that were frankly lies and scams. And now people are losing their jobs and they're realizing, like, man, that didn't work. Also says here, Parkersburg Brewing, a local bar and eatery, is also worried about a hit to demand. Roughly 1/6 of the brewery's 65 members who pay an annual fee for a larger pour and other perks work at BFS, right? Again, this is the major employer there. Quote, they have extra money to come spend at places like this and give back to the community, and now a percentage of that is lost. That's going to affect us tremendously. You have this as well, and I've heard people from our community talk about this stuff also. The headline here was why VA mental workers feel Elon Musk emails are psychological warfare. It's not just the VA; it's several workers because guys, I mean, there's a lot of people that work for the federal government or various agencies or communities that are affected by this stuff. Basically, just imagine if your boss, right, this Mr. Elon guy, sends emails like, "Tell me what you did last week," right, and then they threatens to fire if you don't answer. And then you have your department heads like, don't answer Elon's mail. That's a third party, it's breaking chain of command, these kind of things. And you're just kind of stressed out. Like, who do I listen to? This is your livelihood. This is your lives. Of course, people aren't going to like you, right? And on top of that, Musk has this history of like making these bold promises, not keeping his promises, cheating his workers, these kind of things.
I mean, first of all, why go anywhere, right? I think there are really two fundamental paths. History is going to bifurcate along two directions. One path is we stay on Earth forever, and then there will be some eventual extinction event. I don't have an immediate doomsday prophecy, but it's eventually, history suggests there will be some doomsday event. The alternative is to become a spacefaring civilization and a multi-planet species, which I hope you would agree that is the right way to go. Yes?
And then he just goes on and on about going to Mars, right? So this was recently. He's got his whole fan cult on on Twitter. They're the rocket that just blew up recently, or the Starship, I should say. It's the person says, it's not a failure, and then Musk is like, well, it is a failure, to be honest. Stupid. I'm showing you guys here. You can see it for yourself. Musk obviously isn't happy about what happened, and he's been calling people, names and stuff like that call him out on the Starship explosion. His cult even now is facing backlash, especially if you drive a Cybertruck. You're kind of like seen as driving the Panzer wagon, or the the swastika or the Musk mobile or the MAGA mobile, however you want to call this thing. And one even wrote a funny post. Well, it's funny to me, but maybe not to that person. I think the person was serious, saying that if you would attack a Tesla or Cybertruck or whatever, it should be a hate crime. He actually did write that, and I can show you the post if you want to see it. It's right there. He says, this is not just a property damage, it's an issue of safety and targeted aggression, right? And he wants to potentially classify them as hate crimes. So attack on Tesla, I guess, is supposed to be a hate crime. And Musk just goes on and on about going to Mars. That's why I'm showing you guys this stuff, how disconnected this guy is from regular people's lives. He grew up rich, emeralds in his pockets, right? And has these wild fantasies, and basically a bunch of lives in this dream world fueled by whatever substances that he's on, that they're all going to go to Mars and you're all going to be rich, and and he pumps up his stock as well. Like, this is the pictures he tweets out. Oh, Mars will be a new world, just as America was in the past century. Such an inspiring adventure. And it's like, I don't know. When I look at that picture, I'm not like, wow, I really want to go to this barren place. But that's what Musk is doing. That's what I just want you guys to understand, like, who he is. Or he says this: no, we're going straight to Mars. The moon is a distraction, right? His rockets are blowing up. He can't even get to the moon, and he's like trying to pretend, oh, we don't need to go to the moon. We're going to Mars. Mass to orbit is a key metric, right? Great. And then he's saying here, the former needs to be the megaton to orbit per year range, build a sustaining colony on Mars. And he keeps tweeting this stuff out. This is February 23rd, just a week or so ago. Time to go to Mars, guys. And that's the reality of what Mars looks like. And then you have this weird fantasy stuff he tweets out too on February 12th, right? He's talking about going to Mars, and kind of like paints his fantasy world for his fans. And I'm showing you guys this stuff because I want you to see, again, it's the same way that Trump promises you, oh, make America great again, we're all going to be rich, everything's going to be awesome, just trust me, bro. It's the same stuff as Musk. They're the same kind of people. They convince their cult that they can do anything. And when someone's desperate and down their luck, they fall for this kind of stuff. So like Musk here was promising that, I guess we're going to put humans on Mars by 2029. So stupid. Before it was like 2026, I think he was saying. And then recently, I was looking at kind of what Musk is up to just 3 hours ago and a couple hours ago. Their fans think that if you don't like Musk, they think all the people who are protesting Musk are all paid people, right? That's what they think. That's what they're promoting. From Musk, from their point of view, what they want to do is, again, fire you, get all your tax dollars, put in that sovereign wealth fund, support Musk companies, and to do nonsense like they want to do this AI stuff. He wants to get a bunch of money for that. He's now saying he wants to do a Neuralink and trademark the term, I guess, telepathy. He wants to get your money for that. Who's going to be in charge of the sovereign wealth fund? Again, this is trying to get as much money as you can from you, from the government. Funnel that to his companies, and the guy in charge is one of Musk's associates from Morgan Stanley. That was just announced. And this is where we're at. Musk is also now trying to pretend like he's not the one firing you. That's their game plan. Cut governments, cut regulations, promote his scams, fire you, this kind of stuff, and then pretend he's not the one that did it. So I just want to make this stuff really, really clear. These are the people doing it. It's not just some, faceless person. It's Musk and Trump. These people are out to get you, unfortunately. And people are waking up to it because, as I showed you, as we talk about the story in West Virginia, when it hits closer to home, you realize, man, these people are frauds. And better late than never is my opinion on this. So I'd like to hear your thoughts. What do you think? And I'll catch you on the next video.